Troy Harris from the 100K Club. It's good to have you here talking about the training program and what people can expect from learning to develop from you and your program.
Thanks, Justin. Good to be here.
Let's give us a little bit of background about who you are and why you can teach people about how to become a property developer.
I think probably to start out when probably a lot of the first questions are is sort of what's your background? Are you a builder or something like that? And I'm certainly not a builder. I think the best thing is building a flat pack cubby house is about my greatest skill. And not, someone who's academic. School wasn't really for me, and as an employee, I wasn't all that good either. I guess for me, it got to the point where once I discovered I wasn't going to be very good as an employee, that I needed to do something different. And I suppose I did have a little bit of an entrepreneurial streak. I tried a few things over the years, and at the time I was running a toy shop, and I quite often get asked why a toy shop. I had to do something, and I didn't really have much of an idea what it was. And I had a good friend who had experience as a manager in a sport and toy store, and we went into business. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be successful, and I needed to find something else. And started off with some support of some mentors to get into renovating, and decided that wasn't quite for me. It's a little bit time consuming. I wanted to more manage the process rather than be hands-on. So I guess I stumbled into developing with probably not a lot more than knowing that I had someone there to help me, a friend and confidant to support me, and that was the best thing I could think of at the time. And
so since then you've completed, I think, 10 or more developments over 10 or more years.
I think up to the current one, just recent is the 15th, I think now. So they do vary from the very first one, which was a very cheap little corner block, which I paid $133,000 for, up in a little suburb of Ballarat, which I put one small single level 3-bedroom on the back, and I made a small profit there to generate up to 4, 6, 8 unit sites. That's not to say that I wouldn't do larger ones, just the way the way the cards have fallen.
And so you've learnt a lot, or a fair bit along the way, about developing and the things to avoid.
Yeah, look, a lot of the learnings do come from obviously making mistakes, but what's even better than those learnings are the ones where you learn before you make the mistakes, and sometimes that can be just from real good due diligence and really good research. Sometimes it can be from having the right people by your side who grab you by the ear and grab you before you make those mistakes. And some are completely unavoidable. The universe, that being the council and the neighbours and everything else, will throw up something out of left field from time to time, and you just need to learn how to solve the problem and get the best possible result with the cards you've been dealt.
And along the way, you've set up a mentoring program to help wannabe developers succeed at developing, called the 100K Club. Can you tell us why you started that mentoring program?
I guess it started because I was just getting a whole lot of a range of questions from people. And unfortunately, a lot of those questions came from people that had already bought sites. I get people ring me up, or they come to me when we used to run our property group events, and they come up and it's just, I've bought this great development site. What should I do with it? I said, well, what do you mean? What should you do with it? It's a great development site. I don't know what to do with it. Well, how do you know it's a great development site if you don't know what to do with it? And sometimes, unfortunately, these people have bought themselves lemons, things that, they might say, it's great, it's 1,000 square metres, but it might have something attached to it, but it's not a great development site, or they might have overpaid. They might have bought what they think is a 4-unit site because down the road something similar, someone's put 4 on it, but this is just slightly different in some way, and it's only a 2 or even a 1, and they're going to lose money. So, obviously I really feel for those people, but unfortunately once they've bought it, there's nothing I can do. So I try to work out a way to help them before they buy it, because most of the work is actually done before you purchase, or before you go unconditional on a purchase. You might make an offer subject to doing some research and due diligence, but certainly do not own a property until you know exactly what you're going to do, or what you're able to build on, how much it's going to cost to build, and how much those units are going to sell for, or if you're keeping them, what they're going to be worth, to determine how profitable the project is. Because once you've bought it, it's too late to find out otherwise.
And you've come up with what I think is a well-structured program over a year. You've got some online modules that will teach you the foundations of developing, along with mentoring, phone calls and other support. Could you just talk us through the nuts and bolts of the program?
Well, essentially it's a 12-month program, because there's a lot to it, and it was designed to be over that period of time so that there would be that coaching support along the way. It is structured so that you're learning. Basically, it's designed to be about approximately one module per week. Now, obviously, with life, sometimes some people get through 2 or 3 in a weekend because they know they're going to be away for a couple of weeks and things like that. But basically, around about 1 a week. So that after you've been doing the program for a few months, you're in a position ready to buy. Now, some people think they have to buy something first before they start the program. That's absolutely wrong, because as I just explained, you could already have a site that doesn't work. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, we can't fix that. The first part of the program is teaching you to work out how to buy it, and the second half is once you've bought it. So the timing of somewhere between 4 to 6 to maybe 9 months of purchase tends to be the most common, although some do manage to buy a little bit earlier. Whereas if after a couple of months they happen to stumble across a site that works, the coach will work with them to make sure that they tick all those boxes, to make sure that it is the right site, and we sort of fast track the early part. Some people take a little bit longer due to some of us luck, they haven't come across the right site. Other times that they just need to take a little bit longer to work through it, but that's fine. It's not a race. It's not a race to the finish. The most important thing is to buy the right site and to develop it the right way, and that's what the program's essentially there for, to teach you how to do it. So it's not like, here, come join the program, we'll do it all for you, and there's your profit at the end, and then you don't know how to do it the second time. It is based upon the name of the company, the Rookie Developer. It is to teach people how to do it the first time. We have some people who, after one go, hey, look, thanks, great, I know what I'm doing now, and away they go. And there's some people with this many years later who know that we can still provide further assistance for them after that 12 months is finished. It's optional to stay on with us.
Yeah, well, I'm a graduate of the program, so I can certainly vouch for its effectiveness, and I still use all the checklists and the feasibility spreadsheet and all the tools that you get given as part of the program.
So do I.
Okay, well, that's good to know. What kind of people do you find come through the course? Is it a mix, or is there a particular type of person or someone with a type of background that excels at developing?
Look, there's a real wide variety of different people. Sort of the male, female, the group dynamics, from whether it be a single person, whether it be a couple. Other times it can be friends. We've had a mother and daughter, brothers, all sorts of things. They can be from probably late 20s. We've had some up until getting towards consideration of retirement age. Something to do after they retire, or something to do so that they can retire comfortably. And it really is a variety. There's no particular background, as in certainly not needing to be an accountant. You don't need to be a builder or any trades like that. While there are some, we've had some accountants, we've had some builders, but it's certainly not a need. And I'm certainly not an accountant or a builder, because I employ both.
Yeah, and I'm a corporate escapee. Well, what about in terms of skills then, or qualities that you think property developers need?
I think it's probably not just property developers. I think it's for anyone who succeeds in any business. And while we talk it as doing property developing, it's actually running a business of being a property developer. And it's a real why. And there's plenty of people who are a lot better than me who've written books and videos and seminars and everything about having a why. And it's having a real need, because like anything that's worth achieving, in life, it's not simple. It's an easy process to follow, but it's not simple. You have difficulties. There's times where you need to put a fair bit of effort in. There's times where the challenge is just like any business there is. And the people who are just kind of doing it because there's just something else to do are probably going to struggle with that. They might just go, oh, that's got a little bit hard. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But the people who I find that the most successful are those, like yourself, a corporate escapee. Some people just have a real reason. Like me, I wasn't very good at being an employee. I had to do something else. I had to find something that worked for me. And after a few goes at different things, I came across this and found that this was the right thing for me, and it fits with me perfectly. There's other people that we've had in the program who have upcoming health issues that they know about down the track, so they want to get in and earn as much as they can early, so that they're well set up for later in life. And now I don't think you can have a better why than that. Now for me, which probably wasn't the original why, but certainly has become that way, is the flexibility that it provides me, because it's not a 9 to 5. You're not stuck working somebody else's hours. I do a lot of my work at night. I do a lot of my work between dropping the kids at school and picking them up. But I know yourself, you enjoy spending time with your kids, and you and I are very lucky that we can do that outside of the normal people who have a 40-hour week or a 9 to 5 job are able to do. That we can go in, on a Tuesday afternoon at school, or take them to something straight after school, or go on a school excursion. I enjoy going to the museum or to Hillsville or something like that with my kids, and being able to help out there. It's fantastic, and it's unfortunate, a lot of people are unable to do that. So that's one of my whys. It is sort of when things, do pop up from time to time, it's a little bit difficult, and I think it's human nature to go, oh, bugger, I'll chuck it in. But then you think, well, for what I receive, for what I commit to it, it's a really good return on my time and my efforts. And that avails to me what most people don't, is to be able to spend the time whenever the time is with my kids. And as you know, you want to have a chat with me, it's also, work out something between school hours, because I know I'm generally pretty free during school hours. Outside of that, like first thing in the morning or later in the afternoon, I might be doing something with the kids. So, sorry, I'm not available.
Yeah, I think you don't need technical skills. I think that might be a bit of a myth that people have. You need to be able to read plans, or you need to be good at maths, or you need to be able to understand town planning. You need a little bit of that, but you don't need to be an expert at it. I think you need to be good at problem solving and being able to work with people, because you're going to have a lot of people consulting with you or helping you, and you need to be able to work with them and problem solve, because problems keep popping up when you're developing that need to be resolved.
Yeah, certainly the problem solving, and also being a people person. I'm not the greatest people person. I have to fake it till I make it a little bit, but it's just working with, because you're bringing together a team of people to work for you, and it's a bit like being a manager. Each person that you're engaging, is their first interest is themselves, as most people, and some more than others, but you need to bring them to bring the best out of them for you. So working with that, and being just being able to put together your timing, that's something that you do get better with each project. I know I'm still improving, and at first, the first couple of projects, that was the area that I lacked the most. That I look back and thought I could have made this project much quicker, with the benefit of hindsight, if I could have coordinated the different areas a little bit better. But as you say, you don't need to learn how to read plans or draw up plans or any of the other stuff, because that's why you engage your team. That's one of the important modules early on, is finding out the right people to work with, the people who are working with you to build something that you're wanting to build along the same lines, and not fighting against each other. If you've got a drafty who wants to design for you something different to what it is that's right for that area or what you're looking for, it's not going to be the right drafty for you. It's bringing that together and coordinating on, and that's the greatest skill. But the main thing is just really having that desire to get it done, because you do come up against hurdles like you do in everything. And if you're someone who's going to just sit in the corner and rock for 3 months, well, it's going to make the project pretty hard to be successful if every time a little problem comes up. For me, every time there's a problem, I just go, I know what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it to have the ability to spend time with my kids, and then it becomes easy.
Yeah, I think determination is definitely a key skill. And what about money? People, I think, have an assumption that you need squillions of dollars to to get started as a property developer. What would you say to that?
Well, you certainly do need some money, or have someone who's going to come on board with you with some money, because at the end of the day, you've got to buy some property, you've got to build on it. You need the funds for that. But how much is really determined by you. While my first property of $133,000 in a suburb of Ballarat isn't available now, that same property might be worth $250,000. You could still do that, but it comes with driving to Ballarat. If you live in Melbourne, it might be on the outskirts. If you're living in a suburb and you want to do it near home, obviously you're going to need to have a fair bit of cash up there. For some people, depending on where they live, it might be something that they live in. They might buy a house with a big backyard, and their first foray might be to build one in the backyard. That may be to sell them and take the cash and go into another one. Sometimes that's to build what they want to live in the backyard, move into the backyard, sell the front one, and then take some of the cash from there. There's a whole variety of ways to do it. But yes, you do need some money. You can use, if you've got a home that's been paid off, you can use the equity in there. But that's something that we cover early on very early on in the program, is to make sure that you've got enough money to be doing a project that you're looking for, and also, I guess, the mental side of it, that even if you are flush with cash, and there's plenty of people with lots of money who could do a much bigger project than what they end up doing, is because even though they've got the money, they're a little bit scared of spending that much money, so they still want to start cheap. And that's perfectly fine. It worked for me, and it's worked for a lot of others, that you start off with something really cheap and simple and easy, because even though you know that you can do it and you know you've got your support, there's some tiny little voice saying, what if you stuff up? And the smaller it is, the less you can stuff up. And if that's the thing to overcome your fear factor, well, that's the right answer.
Yeah, and I think having someone at the end of the phone that you can ring at any time if you've got any concerns or challenges is priceless. But what are the mistakes that you see people making when they try to develop without training or support, or just doing it on the cheap?
I think it's a copycat thing. It's just like down the road, they've knocked over a house, they're building 3 units. I'll just do the same thing and I'll be right. You don't even know if they've made money or if they're going to make money. Sometimes that property that looks just like the one you're looking at 5 doors down actually is different. They might be the same dimensions, but it might have other conditions attached to it. I guess that comes under the banner of just not doing your research, just not having the knowledge and the understanding of everything that goes into what's needed. And most of that is the research, and having the team with you, to having the right team on board. That, like, before I buy a property, I've got a pretty good idea what I'll put on it now, because based just on the experience that I've had. But I still go to my drafty and say, this is what I'm proposing. I need to know for sure that I can get this on before I buy it, because if I buy a 4-unit site and I find I can only put 2 on, I'm going to lose money. So just because I can look at the 4-unit site, someone who's a lot more experienced than me, might be the drafty, might have been doing it for 20 years. He might have done, I don't know, hundreds of these. Even though he doesn't do the building and the selling, he knows what he can get on. Then I go to a builder to confirm that, because I think that after the drafties told me that I can get these 4 on. My estimate is that it's going to cost me $250 each to build them. I'll go to a builder and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What's your best estimate as to what that's going to be? Now, if I'm getting those 2 wrong, I'm going to be up against it to try to make a profit. I'm going to need to get very lucky, or I've thought I've had a really, really good deal to make it. And then I've got to make sure that once I've got an idea what I'm building, what they're going to sell for. And because if I'm doing that 4-unit site and I'm going to make $200,000 profit, and I've got the 4 units on there and I've built it for what I think it is, but if they sell for $50,000 less than what I expect them to, because I've just found out that the area is not quite so good, or I've misunderstood because these 3 bedders have been selling for $50,000 more, but these have been on just 2 lots rather than 4, then that reduces the price in this area. All of a sudden I take $50,000 off, there's my profit gone, and I've done it for nothing. Then all if I need something else to go wrong, the builder's, from his estimate to his build contract, has put it up by $50,000. That's just over $10,000 a unit. I've made a loss.
Yeah, I find that people do the back of the envelope calculations when they're looking at developments, and they get the big numbers, the buy price, I'm going to sell them for this much, I'm going to build them for this much, and they think that's what the bottom line is.
Yep.
But they forget about what I would call the 3 C's, the contributions, the consultants, and the other charges that make up another column of of cost that needs to be factored into your feasibility. And I think you do a good job of identifying what all those costs are and how you go about finding out what they're going to be.
Well, we do have the 5-minute deal cruncher, which was just an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not fantastic at Excel, but it just evolved from a very basic one that a friend lent me. And just as I went on, I just added things that I felt was necessary, and people were always wanting it. So that's why I sort of made it a little bit prettier and put it together as a package. But I mean, it's funny you say the back of the envelope, because I still do the back of the envelope, but that's my first. So I might look at 10 properties a day. Now, I'm not going to spend 5 hours on each of those. I do the back of the envelope to see if they might still be in the equation. I'll do a quick, what do I think I can get on there? What do I think it's going to build? The build costs are going to be, what I think they're going to sell for. I'll do a very quick FISO and I go, that might work. So then I'll put my numbers in the 5-minute deal cruncher. These are still only guesses at this stage to see if I'm still within the ballpark. And most of the properties get knocked out at this stage, so I might spend 5 minutes because I don't want to spend any more time on something that's just never going to work. Because I might work out that this property I need to buy for 200 grand less than what they're selling it for. Pretty unlikely I'm going to get it for that, at least now. Maybe in 6 months if they haven't sold, maybe I will, but for now, that ain't going to work. I don't need to do anything else on it. Then if it works, I then put the numbers in, and then I just keep doing a little bit more research, a little bit more detail, until I get to the point where I just go, you know what, I have to buy this, or I cannot buy this. And that might be the 5th or the 8th or the 10th run of numbers on a particular site, depending on how complex it is or not.
And so what would you say the biggest hurdles you think people perceive they're going to face when they're starting out with developing property?
I think that you need to know everything. You need to know how to draw the plans. You need to know what the builder's doing. I don't know. I enjoy walking through a partially built site and looking at the structure and how everything works. And I'm learning stuff and how they run the electrical wires and stuff. It's the kid in me sort of enjoying how to learn how to build. I don't know any of that stuff. I know a lot more now than I did when I started, but I still don't need to. I'm only doing it for my own interest. It really is just trying to overcomplicate things. It's a fairly simple process. You find a piece of land, you determine what the highest and best use is, what is the most profitable thing you can put on there, how much is going to cost you to build that, including your building costs, all your holding costs, all your consultants' costs, all the rest of that. Then what they're going to sell for, and if there's money left over, that's called a profit. And if there's enough profit in it, and you can prove that you can put on what you expect to, you can prove that you can build it for that, and you can prove that those are the sales prices, then you've just proved your profit, and you've just bought, you should be buying yourself a property.
All right, well that sounds good. Now if people are convinced that they should get in touch and have a chat to you about getting involved with the program, what should they do?
I think the first point of call is yourself. You've been through the program. You've started from being a rookie developer, doing your first one, now onto multiple projects, and you've been through it in your experience. You know what it is, and there's nothing better than having a conversation with someone who's done what you are wanting to do to get a real understanding. There's lots of programs and things out there, and they spend a fortune on marketing and sales. They're all pretty and everything like that, and they look fantastic. But the bottom line is, is it going to get you the result? And that's the important thing. So I think starting with you, if they're still happy with that, then get in touch with us. Via you, you'll be able to provide them with the contact and speak with a coach with us and find out any further questions from there, and also sort of we'll ask a few questions of people who are interested to make sure they're the right type of person, because we only want people who are going to be successful, and a lot of people come with bright eyes and all excited and interested and everything like that, and that's great because that's part of the battle, but you need to be able to see it through. When things do not quite go your way, you need to be able to keep going, rather than just sitting in the corner rocking for 3 months and things like that. So we want to make sure we've got the right people in the program that are going to be successful.
Well, if people are interested and they're keen on finding out more, then please feel free to email me, Justin, at propertydeveloperpodcast.com, and we can continue the conversation about you becoming a property developer. Well, Troy, thanks for sharing that information about the program, and hopefully you talk to some people soon about getting started in the journey of becoming a property developer just like yourself.
Thanks for having me, Justin. I really appreciate it, and yeah, looking forward to working with some more people and changing a few lives.